Welcome to the Why Coaching Works podcast. My name is Monty Wyatt, and I'm here to take you on a journey into the world of coaching, exploring its many different facets and uncovering its profound impact on individuals, businesses, and executives alike. We'll be delving into real-life case studies combined with in-depth research from coaching experts to give you a better understanding of why coaching works today. So if you're ready to begin your exploration into the power of coaching, then let's get started. Before we get into this month's episode, here's a short message from Adding Zero's Executive Development. As CEO, you demand performance and results from your team. If you're committed to developing a cohesive, driven organization that achieves successful outcomes every single month, we need to talk. It's time to see how organizational and executive development from Adding Zeros can help. We focus on strategic planning, executive coaching, team alignment and engagement, organizational culture, and clarity of implementation. Contact Monty Wyatt by booking an appointment at www.addZerosNow.com. That's ADDZEROSNOW.com, AddZerosNow.com. If you're ready, now is the time. I have a few coaching spots available for 2025. Lock in your team today. Now let's begin today's episode. Welcome to the Why Coaching Works podcast, where we talk about the impact of coaching, growth of businesses, and personal development. I'm your host, Monty Wyatt. If you're a CEO, business owner, or executive, this is the show for you. We call our audience the achiever because you're always striving for the next level. It is a great honor to have another executive leadership coach on Why Coaching Works today. Executive leadership coach Ken Golde is a creator of the F.A.S.T, F-A.S.T, way defining your feelings, actions, speech, and thoughts to express yourself for ultimate success. It develops a moment-by-moment awareness and how external events are affecting you, then choosing how you think, feel, speak, and act to create success, joy, and fulfillment in all areas of your life, business, relationships, health, and lifestyle. Ken is a public speaker with nearly 100 presentations across the U.S. and Canada and recipient of the Vistage Worldwide Top Performer Award for 2024. Ken's business is called Breakthrough Leadership Training. Ken, it is a pleasure to have you on the show, and glad to have you and look forward to the conversation.
I do too. Thanks so much for having me. I'm looking forward to it as well.
You bet, and congratulations on your recognition with Vistage. That's wonderful.
That was nice. I was very happy to get that email last week. The thing I'm particularly pleased about it is I'll give you some more background. I come out of the movie business, but awards in the movie business are very subjective. People sit around in the room and apply their own tastes to whether or not they like something, vote for it. This is actually based on scores. As a Vistage speaker, every time you speak to a group of business owners and CEOs and leaders, they score you. And you have to, over the course of the year, achieve a certain elevated average score. So that award really comes from the members and represents the value they get out of me appearing. So it's a very, very humbling and valued recognition that I was happy to receive.
Well, fantastic. Love to hear that. Love to hear that. You know, our show is all about hearing stories and seeing how coaching has impacted lives and organizations. And I'd love to hear you tell our audience a little bit of how you got into coaching and what made you go down this path.
Well, have I got a story for you? So I started my life as a filmmaker. I always wanted to be a writer. And when I got out of college, I moved to Hollywood and started writing screenplays and producing and directing movies. So I had a really wonderful 25-year career as a screenwriter and a film director in the independent film world and in the studio film world. It was fantastic and amazing in almost every way. The one thing that is challenging for everybody in the movie business is it's very unpredictable. There's no real business model in the movie business. When things are great, you're great. And when they're not, you're always looking for your next job. And I had some wonderful wins and successes in the movie business, and I got kicked in the gut a few times too. And when I did, I felt it. I was definitely, like many, many people, I'm just going to venture to anecdotally say pretty much everybody on earth, let my internal mechanisms, my happiness or my lack of satisfaction be driven by the results that I was getting in life. When I succeeded, I was great and happy. And when things weren't going well, I was sad and down, and it was a roller coaster. And some really good friends of mine came to me many times over the years and said, "Hey, there's some stuff you can do about that." And I was resistant, like a lot of people. What do you mean? I'm fine. I don't need any of that. I don't need to change. But I started going to weekends and seminars and courses and then getting coaches of my own. And while I was in the movie business, I was a student of personal development in my own life for many, many years. I was also part of some just private social organizations where we did internal coaching and leadership development of our own style. And I wound up really liking it. I really, really liked teaching the things that I had learned about how to live more powerfully and proactively and not feel like you were so enslaved to the ups and downs of the results of your life to generate your happiness. And then kind of coming full circle, the last 5, 6, 7, 8 years have been even more roller coastery in the movie business than the 25 years before that, with streamers and strikes and COVID and movie theaters shutting down and business models changing. And I was turning 50 and I had three little kids, and it just became clear that the movie business was neither going to provide the fun nor the lifestyle that from ages 50 to 75 that it did from ages 25 to 50. And I needed to make a change. And I had probably just a little too much of self-employed, entrepreneur in me to go get a job. Okay, well, if I'm going to start another business, I ran a movie production company for 25 years. If I'm going to start another business, what else am I good at?
Yep.
And I was good at, film directing is 95% coaching. You're the CEO of your set. I don't hold a camera. I don't light a set. I'm not an actor. I'm not an editor. All the people that worked for me and with me do what they do better than I could, but I was a really good coach. And so I started breakthrough leadership training because I started to discover that all the lessons of leadership and personal development that I'd been through and used in my film career applied to every other business and every other person that I came across. Everybody gets in their own way in here.
Yep.
And having a coach to point that out to you when you can't see it, for me, has been the most tremendously successful thing in my life. And it's really an honor to have people pay you to do it for them.
Absolutely. That is a great story. I love to hear how your experience in the film industry has helped you become a great coach. So that's fantastic. That's fantastic. Everybody's got a little different definition of coaching, and they impact it a little bit different. I'd love to hear how you define coaching.
It's interesting. I actually hadn't before. And then I was on with a client. Coincidentally, I have a client right now who's also transitioning out of like a career in finance to becoming a coach. He has other things he wants to share. And he was doing some research and he shared with me, I had never heard it put into this terminology before. He shared with me that people who operate in this capacity can be a coach, a consultant, or a teacher. I'm like, ooh, that's interesting. What's the difference? My client's saying to me, well, coach is somebody who just asks you questions, like really prompts you to come up with your own answers, the discovery process of bringing out the best in you, which I totally appreciate. A consultant is someone who gives you answers. I'm a business and I need to figure out how to get my assembly line working more functionally. A coach might ask me a bunch of questions to help me discover how to get my assembly line functioning more smoothly. But a consultant's going to come in and say, do this and do this and do this to fix it. And a teacher is teaching methodologies and concepts. Honestly, I'm all three in one call. I might ask people questions to help them come to their own discovery. I might bring up tools and decks that I prepare with frameworks to say, here, let me deliver this tool, this way of thinking, this activity that you can go do to apply to what you're moving through. And I might even offer solutions, all in the same fluidity of one conversation. So to me, I don't parse it out. I think a coach is somebody who comes along and is able to have a lens into your life that you're not seeing because you're seeing your life through your lens. And human beings forget, a lot of human beings are never even told or taught or face the concept that We see life through our own lens. We think everybody has the same lens. We think everybody's lens is the same as our lens, which is why people argue. What do you mean you don't believe this? Because I believe that, so you must believe that. And we don't know that our lens is just our lens, and there's all this out here. We get very locked into our own belief systems. And as a coach, I come along to say, hey, I'm seeing some patterns in you. I'm seeing ways of speaking in you, and behaviors in you, and belief systems about yourself that you're showing to me, but you don't know you're showing to me. And if you're showing them to me, it means you're showing them to everybody else too. And as you go into life, possibly complaining or begrudging or feeling like you're not achieving the success that you want to achieve at the level of, or with the swiftness that you want to achieve it, and you're just pointing to COVID and supply chain interruptions and government changes and law changes and other people and this guy and that guy and all of that to say, that's why I'm not successful. A coach comes along and says, all that exists, and what could you possibly be bringing to the table that you're not aware of that's limiting yourself? And a good coach can spot that and help somebody see it in a way where they're not threatened, they're not challenged, they don't feel like they're being made wrong. They're led to understand that they created how they are, and they can create a different way that could produce different results for them. That's the pleasure for me in it.
I love it. You mentioned a couple things that I want to reinforce: coach, consultant, and teacher. And I do believe the best coaches out there are all three, because you've got to uncover things, you've got to help guide people, you've got to do some teaching, and you've got to help them think through some things on their own as well. So I love that you use all three words, and I also love that it is about patterns and behaviors,
Mm-hmm.
and recognizing different patterns and behaviors that people have that they may not even know that they're doing.
Mm-hmm.
And a great coach is going to see things that the normal person can't. So I appreciate that.
Thank you.
Absolutely, absolutely. You know, it's one of the things I love in talking to other coaches is just hearing stories of how we've made an impact. And I'd love to hear a story of how you've impacted an individual, how they've grown or changed, or broke through a ceiling, so to speak, to get to that next level. So w- tell us a little story about one of your clients.
Where do I start? I'm so it's such a gift for clients to let me into their lives at the level that they do. Um, you don't get to experience it in everyday life. Meeting people first hour talking, it's really an honor. A couple that pop out for me. I had a client a couple of years ago, a woman in her late 30s who was smart and bright and kind and all of those wonderful things, and wanted to be a CEO of a company at some point. She was a middle level manager at a large corporation, but she was very, very timid, very, very low voice, wouldn't stand out in a meeting, wouldn't go down the hall to talk to somebody, kind of gave the body language of, I'm really nice, but I'm not really here for you to seek advice from, because I'm not too certain that I'm going to be good at giving you advice. So very clearly she was preventing herself from having the career that she wanted to have. And we were on a call one day, and I said to her, so if you're sitting in a meeting and you have an idea and you want to speak up, but you don't, what's going on in your head right then? What's the thought process? What's the fear? What are you trying to avoid? Is there a person in the room whose judgment you're afraid of? Ridicule, embarrassment? What is it? Because everybody's different. What's in your head? And she immediately pops out with, well, nobody really wants to hear what I have to say.
Hmm.
I said, well, who told you that? Where'd you learn that nobody wants to hear what you have to say? And she got really, really low, really, really quiet, and said, my ex-husband. So this is a woman nearly 40, married again for 10 years, very happily, who'd been married for like a year when she was a teenager, 18, 19 years old. Bad marriage with another teenager, a kid, some 18-year-old kid who said to her, nobody ever wants to hear what you have to say. But inside, she believed it. 20 years later, her
Mm.
ex-husband's voice, and she didn't know it. We don't, I have this saying, it's the tape that plays in our head that we don't hear, but we listen to. We don't hear it, but it gets through. And once you identify it, once she goes, oh, that's his voice in my head telling me not to speak up. The whole thing became ridiculous to her and she started laughing. And she went into the office the next day, walking down the hall, knocking on doors, saying hi, greeting people. Within a week, her boss had come and asked her to present to the board of directors. And then we started building a plan for her to go into her boss and create a new position for herself with a raise. And before she even presented it, he came to her and offered her a new position and a raise, all because she just started showing up as someone at the office who was engaging, i.e., leading, because she identified this voice in her head that was telling her she can't. And when she realized it, she just shed it instantly. So that was a particularly fun story and success for me. And another one on the flip side is I have another client who's since become a great friend, one of my best friends, who started the business 20 years earlier, had trouble with a partner for 15 of those, and it was a struggle for 15 years to get the partner out. And then in the last 5, had to really build himself back from getting the partner out. And finally, when he met me, he had just given himself his first paycheck in decades, $1 million. He just salary out of his business. So I said, well, why have you come to me? Like, you just made $1 million in your business. What can I help you with? He said, I'm not enjoying it. I'm not enjoying anything. I go to work every day and it's tiring and exhausting. And I've got this $1 million in the bank. He was like 40 years old. He was living in the same 2-bedroom apartment he'd rented 15 years ago. He was driving the same pickup truck he'd bought 20 years ago. He wasn't dating. He's like, yeah, I made $1 million, but I have no life. And it would be easy at that point as a coach to come in and go, well, go spend some money. But that doesn't solve the issue of why you're not. And we started to get into it. And there was a very big belief system about him feeling like he could only show other people that he was successful when he felt that he was successful. And I said, well, if making $1 million a year isn't successful to you, what is? And that opened up a massive can of worms about belief systems and value and self-value and worth that would have made him feel like he was never successful forever, no matter how much money he made.
Mm.
And when we got through that, when he started to embrace that he didn't need to create a certain level of tangible success in order to feel successful, but that he had the ability to create the sense of success within himself first as he went to seek tangible success. It took 3 months for him to get a girlfriend who he's now engaged with. I'm going to his wedding in 8 weeks. It took 3 months for him to move out of his apartment and buy a house. And it took 6 months for him to sell his company for 8 figures.
Huh.
So, and then I was talking to him on a podcast recently, and I said, George, 2 years later, how does it feel to have come this long? And his answer was, well, I got to tell you, like if you told me 2 years ago that 2 years later I'd be getting married, living in my dream house by the beach, and have all the money I need for the rest of my life, I would have said you were crazy. I would have said you thought you were a fairy godmother with a wand casting a fairy tale. But he didn't need a fairy tale. He just needed to change how he believed about himself, and he just needed someone who could help him see that. And it was like I could take up your whole podcast with stories. It's an awesome pleasure to help people do this.
Both those examples were about beliefs.
Mhm.
Give us a tip for our audience to help break through that negative belief that someone might have. What's a little tip or an exercise that you have your clients do to help break through that belief?
Well, I'll tell you exactly how the FAST way works. So FAST is an acronym, stands for feelings, action, speech, and thought. And the idea is that how you think, feel, speak, and act is the engine that drives you through life. And most people don't see that. Most people, if you meet them and you say, hey, tell me about yourself, they tell you about the big signposts of life. I was born here and this was my family and my early school years and my friends and my dating and my sports and my clergy and my college and my early work life and COVID and supply chain interruptions and market crashes. They point at the big things. I got married, I had kids, and they say, that's the story of me. But it's really not. The story of you is how you think and feel about all of those events. From the time you are literally born, you have emotions, and even before you have words, you have thoughts. And human beings apply psychological and intellectual like assessments to every event that happens to you for your entire life, moment by moment. And we build all of those thoughts and feelings up, and we call them our personality. We call them our identity. And that's why people say, well, hey, you're barking a lot. Ah, it's just me. Or, hey, that guy's sarcastic a lot. Oh, it's just him. Or why don't you go travel? Oh, I just don't like to travel. Or you've been in this job you've been complaining about forever. Why don't you get another job? I like the security. Any statement like that that's based in like an absolute, we limit ourselves by. And some of them work. Like, I like to exercise, great. But some of them don't work. Like, I don't like to talk to people, probably not a good thing. But a lot of people have it. We make those statements because they establish comfort zones for us. They establish narrow ways of being that we feel good about, and anything outside of that narrow way of being that feels awkward or new or different or challenging or potentially embarrassing or hurtful, we avoid by saying our personality doesn't like those things. And so the tool I have is for you to recognize that whole story of you going back from the day you were born to wherever you are sitting. I'm talking to you, Monty, and whoever's watching this right now. I'm talking to a viewer, wherever you are sitting right now. That whole story of you, all of your likes and dislikes and thoughts and ideas and opinions and politics and religion and belief systems about yourself. I'm too tall, I'm too short, I wasn't good at sports, my parents this, blah, blah, blah. All of it. It's a fiction. You made it up. You didn't know you were making it up. You created these psychological and emotional assessments in real time as you were doing it, but you now believe them to be true because you have believed them for so long. And so the tool is, whenever you're in any situation, say you are that young woman who wants to be a CEO but isn't letting herself, to say, the way I am viewing myself and this situation right now, I created. I created it. And if I created the way I'm viewing myself in this situation in the way that's not creating the success in my life that I want, I have the right authority and ability to create any story that I want to tell myself about me and who I am and what I'm capable of. And when you change how you start to think and feel about yourself, and it's as easy as just saying it. Just again this morning with the client, oh, I'm traveling. And he says this to me, you know how traveling is? It's like airports and luggage, and it's just exhausting. And I look at him and I go, I'm on 8 planes a month. I fly back and forth to the East Coast in 36 hours. I love it. I love airplanes and luggage and all of it. He goes, how do you? I said, because I choose to. Because I've chosen to be a public speaker who flies across the country 3 times a month. Why would I choose to do that and go be miserable? I'm talking to the person watching this. You have chosen your life. You think maybe you haven't. You think circumstances have. But how you thought and felt about those circumstances when they happened determined how you acted into those circumstances when they happened. And that way of thinking, feeling, speaking, and acting has led to the results of your life. And if you're choosing to be upset or play victim or blame circumstances for where you are, you're just giving up your God-given power to create your life. And so the tool is recognize that you created how you think and feel about yourself in the world, and that's leading how you act into the world. And you can change how you think and feel about yourself in the world and use that to lead how you act into the world differently, and that will create different results for you.
I appreciate you telling us that and teaching us that, because I think that the thinking, feeling, and acting is a powerful thing, and our mind is a powerful thing. And the more that we give it negative, the more negative we're going to see. The more positive that we go after, the more positive we're going to see. And it is a choice. And sometimes that choice isn't easy. You got big mountains to climb, you got big challenges, but it's breaking through that. And so it is a choice of how you see things. So I really appreciate you teaching us that. Thank you. I
Yeah.
want to I
But
want to switch gears just a little bit,
Mhm.
and I want to talk about you being coached. One of the things that we believe as coaches, we believe we've got to be coached as well, so we can continue growing. And I'd love to hear about how being coached has helped you.
I've had some great coaches. So there was a man named Scott Cody. He's passed away. He passed away about a year ago, last summer. Um, Wonderful man. He ran an organization called the Institute for Embodied Wisdom in Ojai, California. And I learned a lot about what I do from Scott. His coaching methodology was that our bodies store knowledge and communicate with each other. And he taught people how to be very present in their presence. And I'll never forget, I'll tell you another little story. So, about 15 years ago, I had a series of events happen to me. I was directing a movie, great movie. Go watch it. It's called Uncross the Stars on Tubi. It stars Ron Perlman and Barbara Hershey. It's a great little movie. I didn't know I was going to do that plug, but there it is. I was directing Uncross the Stars. And while we were shooting, my business partner passed away, and I had to self-finance the completion of the film, which didn't seem like a problem, except that summer the subprime mortgage crisis hit, and the next fall the 2008 market crash hit, and the film didn't sell, and I was left in a ton of personal debt. It was the mortgage crisis. My house went into foreclosure, and I just hit rock bottom. I mean, I was broke and nearly homeless, and my film was incomplete, and I mean, and then the Writers Guild went on strike. I mean, it was just a perfect storm. And I did what's called losing my context. I fell into victimhood and didn't know it, had my lens on. Well, of course I'm miserable. All this happened without realizing that I'd chosen it. And Scott came along. He said, he had this course called the Art of Leadership Mastery. He goes, I'm doing an ALM course. You should come do it. And it's hard. It's situations like that when you're down to go, nothing's going to help. But I trusted Scott. So I went and I did the Art of Leadership Mastery course. And I remember I was struggling. I mean, I was into the practices and everything, and I was open, but nothing was breaking through the wall of both grief and financial stress and anxiety and failure that I was in. And one day we were in a little tiny conference room at a little tiny hotel in Ventura, California. I mean, this conference room was like 15 by 12 with like 10 people. It was little. And whatever happened that morning, just the dam broke. And I was crying. I was like crying in this room because I was trying to hold it together. Gabe's death and grief and finance and stress and the movie and my house and all that for months. And whatever he said that morning came crashing out. So Scott brought me up to the front of the room. I'll never forget this. He said, walk with me. And we started walking back and forth across the room, which was only 12 feet long. So it's like 6 paces turn, 6 paces turn, 6 paces turn. I'm walking with him. And he said, where are you at right now? And I just let it all, the whole story I just gave to you. I'm just like, I'm lost. Scott asked me a profound question. He said, do you believe that your life is over and you will never have any success ever again? This is the end for you, rock bottom forever. I said, no, truly, I don't believe that.
Yep.
Do you believe that you can still go create success in the movie business and in other places in your life? I can't guarantee you what level of success or when it will come, but do you believe you can? Yes, I do. He goes, so we're not talking about you being defeated. We're talking about you being unsure of how to get back on the right path. And that was so insightful because a lot of what I do as a coach is just reframe how people are thinking about things. I thought I was defeated, but he's like, if you don't believe you're going to be here forever and you believe you can get somewhere else, then you know you're not defeated. You're just unsure of where to go. I'm like, well, yes, That is true. I mean, my eyes popped out of my head. It was such a new lens. Yes, I'm not defeated. I just don't know what to do next. He goes, and I ask this question to my clients all the time. Do you trust yourself to find a path? Yes. I believed it. Like, yes, I do. And like my whole energy changed. I mean, I'd been carrying on the grief and financial stress for a year. And in 2 minutes of walking back and forth and three questions from Scott, it just went like, yes, I just need to find a new path and I trust myself to find a new path. That's totally different from I am defeated. Totally different. And this all took 3 minutes. And then he said again, he goes, so where are you at now? And I had this amazing epiphany. I came up with this mantra early in my film career called These Are the Problems I Choose. And what These Are the Problems I Choose meant to me was I would be on film sets and there were problems all the time, like every business, right? This, that, everything, all day long problems. And people got so disgruntled about their problems. Oh my God, I can't believe the truck parked there. And now we have to move the truck. Oh, the props on the wrong side and the actor's in the wrong makeup. But they would complain and complain and complain. And I used to say to them, could be worse. We could not be making a movie. Like, I'm grateful for the problems that movie making brings because these are the problems I choose to be a film director. And when I went into making Uncross the Stars, I was prepared for all the problems I thought I'd chosen. We were shooting in the desert in the summer. It was hot. There was sand in the camera and scorpions. I was prepared for all that. But I wasn't prepared for my partner dying and the market crashing and my house going into foreclosure and being in debt and the Writers Guild going on strike. And I thought, prior to those 3 minutes with Scott, that those were a bunch of problems I hadn't chosen and that I was the victim and defeated. And what I saw in that moment was that my film hadn't stopped. I had. That all of these were also, if I chose to be a filmmaker, your partner dying and the market crashing and your film not selling and the Writers Guild going on strike are all things that can happen on the path of filmmaking. I just didn't want them to happen. And when I realized that, when I realized that it wasn't the film that had stopped and it was me and that the film didn't defeat me, I had chosen to be defeated, that's when it all washed away. And I literally woke up the next day going, let's go sell the movie. And it took me like 3 weeks to sell the movie and get a new house and write a script and sell a script. And it all turned around from Scott in 3 minutes of where you at? And seeing me in a way that I wasn't seeing myself. It was, and I could give more. I've had many other coaches through the years, but that's one that pops out. And I love Scott Cody. Scott passed away. He had some great expressions. One was, what you appreciate appreciates. I love that. I just love that. He would say, energy follows attention. Put your attention on something and your energy goes to that thing. And when you appreciate that thing appreciates. Put your negative energy on something and your negative energy goes to that thing. And if you don't appreciate that thing will depreciate. And it goes beyond business and ourselves. It goes to our relationships and our children. People who come home at the end of a tired workday with negative energy, putting negative energy on their children and not realizing that what you depreciate depreciates. And when you come home and put positive energy on your children, what you appreciate appreciates. Scott had lots of wonderful wisdom. So yeah, great question. Thank you. I'd love to.
Well, thank you for sharing that because it is about us growing and the whole world. Every person needs to grow to that next level. And sometimes it's just one question or three questions, as you put it, to help you see things in a different light and to help you recognize things. So I love that story and I love that you shared it. So appreciate that.
Mhm.
If you had one tip to give to someone who was considering being coached, what tip would you give them?
It's a tip that goes beyond just coaching. Another Scott Codyism. There are no right choices and there are no wrong choices. All you can do is make a choice in a moment in time and live into the future to see how it plays out. If you've never been to a baseball game, you can't say I don't want to go because I don't like baseball games. You don't know what a baseball game feels like to be there. You have to go and sit in the stands and then decide, do I like this feeling or do I not like this feeling? If you've never had a coach and you've heard about coaching but not moved forward with it, to say anything along the lines of, well, I don't think that's going to work for me is a is a it there's no truth in the statement when you have no experience in the experience. You have to go sit in a coaching session and see if it works for you and see if you like it or don't like it. And then there's also the added of, well, people have been with coaches that they don't have success with. So then they say, I don't like coaches because this one didn't work for me. It's like dating one person in high school and getting your heart broken and saying, I don't like dating, and not dating for the rest of your life because that one dating experience didn't work. People react in different ways. Some coaches are coaches, some are consultants, some are teachers, some are blends, some have different styles. If you believe that there is a level of success out there within your potential that you're not achieving and you don't know why you're not achieving it, and you're pointing at reasons that are outside of you. I use supply chain interruptions and interest rates and legal changes and laws and all of that, but it could be this person got hired above me and the boss quit and all of my movie business stuff. I sold the script and then the executive was fired and my script went, all any blame or reasoning that you can put outside of you doesn't matter. The world is always going to throw challenges and obstacles at you in a multitude of different ways. And you are always going to be you in facing those challenges and obstacles. And I guarantee you, no matter what level of success or life you're at, there are ways of being that you have that you are not aware of. Even if you've been coached for 20 years, you only know about yourself what you now know about yourself. And there are always things that you don't know about yourself. I've been in this as a student of this for 30 years and a coach for 5, and I still have coaches because there are always things about me that I am not seeing about myself. I would always say to people, Elton John still takes piano lessons. Taylor Swift still has a choreographer and a dance coach and a singing coach. Who's the greatest baseball hitter right now? He still has a batting coach. Serena Williams still has a tennis coach. Like the very top performers, top CEOs in the world still have coaches because they always know that they can't see themselves. Oscar-winning actors stand up on stage and thank their director because their director can see them acting and they can't see themselves acting. If you think there is success within your potential that you haven't achieved, you owe it to yourself to go find somebody who can help you see the things in you that you're not seeing in yourself and learn how to think, feel, speak, act, and be differently to create different results. Otherwise, you're just going to keep complaining and feeling like it's not there for you. That's what I say to people about coaching.
Well, that's great advice. I loved how you put it. There's always things that we don't see about ourselves. And I think that's a great point of recognizing it. But your point of you have to experience something. So go experience it before you make your decision, before you give your opinion of it, because you don't know what it is if you've never been through it. So I really appreciate you sharing that. One final question, and I like this question just to see where it goes. But our podcast is called Why Coaching Works. Why do you believe coaching works?
I mean, for everything I just said, um, because I don't know why the world embraces athletic coaches and performing art coaches, but that business coaches don't have the same position. I'm not going to say not the same perception. People who use business coaches understand that the perception is the same as an athletic coach, but we grow up seeing and understanding the value of an athletic coach. We call them coach.
Yep.
And anybody who's been in the arts knows that you get a singing coach, a piano coach. We call them teachers, but they're still coaches. And then they get into the business world and they think, oh, I've got this. They get their MBA, which teaches you numbers and strategies, but it doesn't teach you how to actually be a leader in the room. A lot of
Hmm.
people who become leaders at work, they get into their job because they're very good at a skill. And then they're so good at that skill that their company promotes them to be a leader of other people who now have that skill. But they didn't learn to be a leader of people who have that skill. They only learned the skill. So now they try leading by doing the same thing that everybody's doing. And then the person doing isn't getting led and you're not getting it done because you're not leading. It's very confusing. A lot of companies go through that. There is value in teaching people how to lead. That's what a coach does. That's what a leadership coach does. There's value in people who are taking on leadership roles and executive roles and business roles, whether you own your own business as an entrepreneur. That's why I speak for Vistage, because they put together people with other business owners who help see things in that they're not seeing. Or you're running a multi-million-dollar corporation. Getting coached in business is the same as getting coached in sports or the arts. Somebody, it doesn't matter that that person isn't as successful in business as you. All that matters is that person understands how to get more out of you better than you know how to get out of you.
Hmm.
I don't, I'm not a cinematographer. I can't tell my cinematographer how to light a set, but I can challenge him to expand his thinking of what he's capable of in lighting a set.
I really appreciate you sharing that. That's a great view, and it's powerful that you get more out of you. There's always more. There's
Mhm.
always more to get out of us, no matter how successful we are. And you're exactly right. The sporting industry or the entertainment industry, whatever it might be, that those folks have dance coaches, those folks have tennis coaches because they want to continue to be successful and they want to go to that next level, and they can't see everything about themselves. And it's the same for us as executive leadership coaches. So I really appreciate you sharing that.
Mhm.
For our audience that would love to get a hold of you, what's the best way to reach out to you?
Oh, you can email me at ken@breakthroughleadershiptraining.com. You can also go to the Fastway website, which is just livethefastway.com. Uh, I have multiple programs that I do for coaching. I do one-to-one executive coaching, and I do team trainings and in-person day trainings for companies and teams. Email me about those to learn more. The Fastway is my kind of scalable version of what I do. It's a video course that is accessible to everybody. It's the exact same material that I deliver in my one-to-one coaching, but for people for whom one-to-one coaching, either through time or expense, isn't realistic for them at the moment, the video course delivers all the same material. And then for people who get the video course, I have the option of kind of larger group coaching once a month, really, really affordable, like $300 a month to get a coaching call with me. You watch the videos, you get the material, you get on the coaching call, you get to share successes and wins and ask questions and learn things about the fast way. And all of that information's at livethefastway.com. And if your viewers go to livethefastway.com and sign up for either the video course or the monthly coaching with the video course, if they use the code FAST50, 50, FAST 50 at checkout, they'll get 50% off anything that they jump into. And that's in perpetuity. I always rail on Mint Mobile, Mint Mobile,
Yep,
Ryan
yep.
Reynolds, and they come in, they go, $15 a month, premium cellular. Why would you go with anybody else? And then at the end, he goes, for the first 3 months. And after that, it's like $80 a month or whatever it is. If you use the FAST50 code, it's in perpetuity. As long as you stay in coaching, it's 50% off forever. So I really, I want to change the world. My company mission is to teach all people how to develop powerful leadership skills, thereby multiplying humanity's potential for productivity and success. I think when each person learns how to become the best version of him or herself in a way that they can also reach out and help the next person become the best version of him or herself, all business people become coaches at some point. And when they can pass good coaching along to every level so that those people can pass it along to the next level, we multiply humanity's potential for productivity and success. And the Fastway online video and courses is the way that I'm doing that.
Wonderful. Ken, I really appreciate you being on the show today. And you shared some great stories, some great insight on why coaching works and the benefits and the impact of coaching. So I really appreciate it. Any other tips or last comments you want to leave for our audience?
I'm going to turn it around on you for a minute and say, how'd you become a coach and how'd you start the podcast?
Well, thank you for asking. I appreciate that. I spent 14 years in the agricultural chemical world and worked my way up, had 5 to 6 different positions in 5 or 6 different locations around the country, and went through 3 mergers. And in the last merger, the leadership just wasn't the way that I wanted to be a part of. And they weren't proactive, they weren't thinking, they weren't supporting of their team. And so I left the corporate world to be a coach to help people think differently and to see a different light and to influence others in a more impactful way. And so now it's been 21 years since I started, and it's been a great ride. And seeing how many people that can change not only their own lives but their business and the lives of others. And that's the impact that I love. And been doing this podcast for about a year and a half, and I really wanted to get out there the message of coaching does work on every person in the world if you're open to it.
Mm-hmm.
And I've got a mindset of abundance because I bring on other executive leadership coaches on to tell their story and share their impact. Because I want to help the world see the benefits of coaching and continue to grow and be a part of the next level that everyone can achieve. So that's my story.
I love that. Thank you for sharing. Well, I'm super grateful that you found me and reached out, gave me a chance to come on and tell my story and tell people about the fast way. And my philosophy is if you find me and I'm the one who can help you on your path, thank you, but find someone and get on the path to becoming the best version of yourself that you can envision. And that's what human beings do. We help each other become better human beings. And there are people who've made their profession helping people do that. And go find one because you really will see the difference.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Ken, really appreciate you being on the show. Thank you to our audience, The Achiever. Keep watching, keep growing, keep listening, and make sure you like and subscribe our podcast and come back every month to get new insights on why coaching works. So thank you for joining us. We'll see you again on the next episode. Thank you for listening to the Why Coaching Works podcast. I hope this episode has helped you see that individual, business, and executive impact, growth, and development that coaching provides. Please take a second to give us a thumbs up and subscribe. Each review helps me impact more people just like you and make a difference in this world. See you on the next episode of Why Coaching Works.